So this is officially my first podcast, episode one of many. And really, I want to take time today to introduce myself. This has been a long time coming. It's probably at least 18 months that I've been planning and making just about every single excuse that I can to not start, to not do this. So today's a big day. Today is my beginning as I move through this new season of my life, and I'm excited because I'll tell you what, between the excuses and just the time that it takes to put something like this together, I've been putting it off. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start this, when this has been a 2-year dream of mine, is really to help people to get where they're going. And there's nothing more to that than what the words are. I'm a person that believes I've been helped in many ways over my career, over my life, and I think it's time for me to give back now. So let's get this thing going. I want to keep it short and sweet, tell you all a little bit about me. My name is John Espinosa. I'm one of three kids. I'm the oldest out of three. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And when I was growing up, it was an interesting time. I'll tell you. I grew up. I was born in North Dakota. I moved pretty recent after I was born. We moved here to Oklahoma City. That's where I'm based out of, is Oklahoma City, and I spent majority of my time here. We did a small stint up in Washington, D.C. Lived out there for around three and a half years, and came back. So we never really left, other than that 3.5 years since I've been here. So this is my home. I consider myself Sooner born and Sooner bred. So again, hence the red, the crimson and cream. I did graduate from the University of Oklahoma with both my bachelor's and master's degree, and we'll talk about that more in later episodes. But really, this is my home. So that is my upbringing. My beautiful mom and my dad and my stepmom. My mom and dad divorced when I was around 6th grade-ish, so that 11 and 12-year age, and that was really tough. That was really tough on me growing up, and but my dad, he was always around, and again, I will keep this for future episodes, so keep on listening. But that impacted me, and it made me the person who I am today. So after that 6th grade, those formative years, I graduated from Moore High School, and shortly thereafter, I attended the University of Oklahoma. And my bachelor's degree is in science, with an emphasis on health and exercise science. And then I was lucky enough to get into graduate school and received a master's of education degree also from the University of Oklahoma. So that's a little bit about me in my career. Shortly, in the middle of my sophomore year, I met my beautiful wife, and we actually were working at a restaurant. So that was my first job, official job, I want to say, that I got a paycheck for. But it was a restaurant, and I was a cook. I started when I was young, probably about 15 and a half, actually, on Valentine's Day. Walked in, my birthday's in April, and my mom pretty much said, hey, you need to go get a job before you turn 16. So being a good son that I was, I went out and was filling in. Back then, you filled in applications in person. So you went to around, and I had a good friend of mine drive me around to the different restaurants because with my schedule, and I was playing football at that time, it just worked well. So that I walked in a couple of restaurants, and one of them that I walked into, it was Valentine's Day, and funny story, I asked for an application, filled out the application, and I handed it back to the manager that was working that day, and she said, when can you start? And I said, well, I don't turn 16 until April. She said, well, can you start tonight? Because my busboy just called in, and it's Valentine's Day. It's February 14th. And I said, sure, why not? I couldn't go back to my mom and tell her that I turned down a job when that was my main purpose the whole thing is getting a job. So long story short, I worked my way up from a busboy, dishwasher, got on the line. I was a cook for many, many years, and then got to the back of the kitchen and was an assistant kitchen manager, and moved around to a couple of different restaurants within the chain, opened up a couple, and ended my restaurant career. And we'll definitely talk about that, because that was a big point in my life and in both my wife and I's life that changed us. So that was one of the pivotal points in my life. But my wife, shortly thereafter, in 1999, she started working there as a waitress, and we met, and it was love at first sight, and we've been with each other ever since. So we're going on 23 years now of marriage. We have 3 beautiful kids. I have an older son, and my daughter is 23. She'll be 23 here this month. And then we have a 15-year-old at home. And we were blessed about 2 months ago with our first grandbaby. And you can see the smile on my face, because every time I see her, it just brings a smile to my face. There's no love like a grandparent's love. We started early. And I'm happy to say, though, that that the story is right. I wish you could start with the grandkids, but she's our world right now, and we just cherish every minute and moment that we get to see with her. But my oldest son and my daughter-in-law, they're doing great. They live here pretty close to us, so we get to see them pretty often. But with that being said, that's my family structure. And my mom and dad still live here in the city, big family oriented. So we do a lot of cookouts, we do a lot of events, either here at our house or at my dad's house, or my mom's. And it's the time that we spend together. As I get older, and I'm not that old, I'm only 43, but as I get older, that's the time that I cherish. So that's a little bit about me. Other than that, I'm a manager for an organization. I'm a frontline manager, and I took that job probably about 2.5 years ago. It took me a long time to jump into the management ranks, and I thought a lot about what I'm going to name this podcast. And I've come up with many names, and I think I've settled on, and this may change, who knows, I'm going to be flexible here, but leaders leading leaders that's a mouth. Hopefully I can continue to say that. But when I was asked about, becoming a manager, I had a manager at one time that pulled me into the office and said, "Hey, listen, you're doing very well. Have you thought about getting into management?" And I said, "No, not really." She said, "Well, do you want to manage projects or do you want to manage people?" I said, "Well, right now I want to manage projects." And that's what I did. I was a project manager for a long time. And, 2.5 years ago, I finally got to the point where my influence only went so far. And that's why I decided to jump in. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I'm really here to help people get where they're going. And I being a manager, I was more poised to do that in that role. I could influence a lot in my program management role, but I could directly hire folks, I could incentivize them, and of course promote them. So that's what I'm here. That's what I'm about. You're going to hear a lot on the leadership side of the house. We'll dig into communication. We'll dig into, just overall management, leadership, some of the tips and tricks, some of the pitfalls, some of the failures that I've had along the way. But most of all, I hope that you all will enjoy this. And, this podcast will be a little bit different. I'll do some recorded sessions. I plan on doing some live streaming sessions. We'll do some impromptu stuff. And, I've been around virtual and social media for a very long time. My background is in training. So I want to take advantage of all there is out there. And, I'm starting here with just this StreamYard. which is something that I've been doing a lot of research. So I'm very, like I said, I've been making a lot of excuses, and I've been doing a lot of research and looking at a lot of videos and first time podcast videos, and I've been listening to a lot of podcasts just from all the people who have been in this business for a lot of years, and it's really motivated me. And finally, I told myself, my wife, she's my accountability partner. I mentioned we've been married 23 years and we hold each other accountable. So when I told her I was going to start this podcast, and we actually redid a bedroom in our house, it was like, all right, it's time, right? And so this is going to be messy. I'm telling you, I'm normally one that likes to have my ducks in a row, but we're just going to jump in. And, I got several topics that we'll talk about over the next however long this thing goes. But I'm excited. I mean, this is a huge day for me and for my family and everybody who supported me along this crazy journey, to get started, because I've told a lot of people, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. And every time I see them a month or two later, they're like, you got that podcast yet? And I'm like, yeah, and I come up with an excuse. Well, I don't have the light that I ordered, or, my microphone's not here yet, or the camera that I want is on back order. But this is it. This is the first one, episode 1 of many. And I will tell you, I'm excited. I hope you're as excited as I am to listen to me. And we'll keep doing this thing. I'll start with 1 or 2 listeners, and we'll just continue to build on. So again, I hope you come back. My name is John Espinosa. This is the Leading Leaders podcast. Come back for episode 2, please, because I'm excited about where we're going to go. All right. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for listening, and be great.